Okay, we are on this right here. And actually, I know we wrote mean here, but this is going to be our measures of center, these two pages. And a measure of center tells us about the middle of the data set or the average of the data set. This is also measures of center. And we're adding two new words to our glossary today. First one is median. We talked earlier today about the middle of the road. So the median is the middle value of a data set when it's ordered from least to greatest. So we want the middle of from biggest to smallest. So the median is really easy to calculate because all we have to do is put the data in order from least to greatest. And that is if people are going to make a mistake, this is usually it, that they don't order the data. So perhaps if we look at our data set from last time, I need to write this in order from least to greatest. So it would be 0, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 15. It can be really helpful to count and make sure you have the same. So we had 7 values over here and 7 values over here. Also, sometimes I cross them off as I rewrite them. And now there's a couple ways we can do this. One way is we can just go from left to right and go biggest, smallest, cross off, cross off, cross off, cross off, until we get to the middle value. So in this case, the median is 5. Another thing that we can do is if we get good at counting, we can just move in without having to cross it off and see where we get to the center of. Or, if there's 20 numbers in the data set, we know that it's going to be around the 10th number. So the only other thing that has to happen is that sometimes if there's an even number of values in the data set, you're going to end up with two numbers that are the median, in which case you split the difference. So let's give ourselves a new data set. Maybe I'm going to pre-order it. 4, 7, 8, 11, 14, 16, 17. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So in this case, the median, if I cross off, I end up with 8 and 11 are left over. So I'm looking for the number that's exactly between 8 and 11. So some people have a pretty good number sense and they can just go, oh, well, it needs to be 1.5 bigger than 8 and 1.5 smaller than 11. So that's 9.5. Other people don't have that number sense, which is okay too, in which case you take the two numbers that are left over, you add them together, and you divide by 2. In other words, you're finding the mean of the two numbers that are left over. And that you can use a calculator for. So that's the median. The other word that we're going to add to our glossary and to our bank of knowledge is mode. And the mode is the value that occurs most often. And so I think of most often, mode. So if we come over here, the data set I started us off with doesn't work very well because all the numbers occur exactly once. So that means those are all the mode. So let's do a different one that might be a little bit easier to work with. 1, 5, 3, 2, 15, 2, 6, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 values. And so I'm looking at what occurs the most often. And a dot plot can sometimes be helpful with this. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We keep going. So we have 1, 2 1s. We have 1, 2, 3 2s. We have 2 3s. We have 1 5, 1 6, and 1 15, which is way over there. So my mode is 2 because it occurs most often in the data set. You don't have to do a dot plot. Some of you might maybe just by counting were like, oh, I already know it's 2, which is great too. So these are our 3 main measures of center, and they are mean, median, and mode.